All right, so we are doing Hachi samples today. And we're pretty much going blind here. I don't really know what these coffees are. We have a lot of the same variety here with different processes, and I don't remember what's what. So we're coating each cup with the Hachi batch reference. Our sample roast is designed to produce a darker, more developed coffee than where we're going to end up when we move to production. We don't try to match profiles between the sample roaster and the production roaster. And the reason for that is because we want to cup these coffees, and we want a more developed profile that shows up in the cupping bowl better, something that's going to extract well with the cupping method, and that will be ready quickly within a day or two of sample roasting. So these are going to be darker profiles, and as a roaster, we just have to learn to taste through that development and think about what's available underneath in the coffee. There's a lot of talk about matching profiles between roasters and trying to get that right, but we don't really approach it that way. Sample roaster is great for roasting samples, not necessarily reflecting what a production roaster can do. So why bother? Well, that looks very light. 132 on the color on that. That is very light. What else do we have? 120, 120, 118, 115, 120, 117, 118, 124, 123. So kind of a spread on color here. That 130 definitely being very light. And if I looked up what the coffee was, I could probably figure out why that is, but we don't want to do that today. Okay, we've got samples ground, and I'm going to start pouring. I did mix up the cups a little bit after I ground them. I knew that there were some non-geisha varieties on this side of the table, and so I wanted to mix that up and further obfuscate what we're doing here. So I'm going to start a timer and start pouring. There were some very intriguing dry fragrances, and I'm guessing some equally intriguing aromas that will come off here. This one's pretty interesting. That smells pretty dark. This smells extremely light. That might be our super light color. Oh, this one smells very nice. It's better. Okay. Okay, as per our protocol, we're going to give this about 4 or 5 minutes, and then we will bust the crusts, and then we're going to give it about 10 minutes after that to help cool things down and get these in a place where we can start slurping and getting good notes right off the bat. We have gone through the break. I noted a couple cups that I enjoyed the aroma coming off the break. The last cup over here, I wrote butter because I got a very strong buttery aroma off that. So we are going to start slurping. I'm going to go through once. I don't think I'll write a whole lot down on the first pass. I like to just get mildly acquainted with each cup, take a little bit of a break, and then come back in and start really analyzing and evaluating what's going on. So. right off the bat, I'm going to break my protocol and just make a little note on that. Okay, interesting cups. There's a lot of juiciness on this table. And my initial impression is that there's a lot of similarities here. So breaking that apart might be kind of difficult for me. Lots of juicy fruit flavors here. A couple of standouts. This one immediately is standing out to me as being quite nice, a lot of complexity. And this cup on the end here too, I got that butter note and a little bit of that on the first sip, with some other interesting character as well. So, so far so good. This is very bright on the end here, lemon, lime, citrus. I'm gonna go ahead and just write citrus. There's some good sweetness on this cup, but it is a little bit quiet compared to everything else. So I will write that down. The development on this cup is a little heavier than some others on the table. There's really good sweetness to it, and darker fruits, which are perhaps a function of that development. And so in accordance with that, I'm actually just gonna write blue on here, just to represent sort of blue, purple, darker fruits. There's some good floral character on this cup. And it's very clean. And complex, this is tasting like a straight washed. We'll see. This is the coffee that measured quite a bit lighter on the color than everything else. It's very obvious in here. Peanuts. This is going to be hard to taste through. As I sort of described, we want more developed cups that will bring sweetness and their fruity character to the table, some acidity if it's in there. This did not work. It's too light. Certainly too light for cupping. This is something I could maybe go back and brew to get a sense of it, but it is just not good on this table. And that is a roast issue, let me be clear. This one's pretty nice. It's got kind of an interesting, almost buttery, savory element like the other, along with some citrus fruits. I'm gonna write citrus for now, and I'm gonna give it another dot, because it is kind of interesting. I'm gonna give this a third dot as well, just to denote that that is my preferred cup so far. This cup's a little bit basic. It tastes a little under. Again, perhaps a roast issue. Just didn't quite get enough development out of this one. This is a little melony. Solid, well-rounded, it's clean. I'm interested in it. Let's give it a mark. I like this one. This one's showing up. I'm getting some like raspberry out of this. There's some tartness there that I like. It's clean. I'll write that as well. And finally, what an interesting coffee. I'm gonna write something really weird as our sort of first note here. Creme fraiche, if I can spell it. It's like a tart cream, clotted cream, very interesting cup. There's some nice fruited elements in there, and I'd say it's rather clean, but it has this very thick, buttery creme fraiche-like thickness to it. And I think that's a fun word, so we'll write that down as well. Thick. Okay, now it's time to start kind of triangulating here a little bit. So I'm going to try and pick out some of the cups that were sort of similar, and I'm going to see if I can further pick apart what I like or don't like about them. Let's go back over here. And we're kind of trying to pick a winner from these cups that I found to be quite similar. Let's taste this one. Okay, so this is the brighter cup of what I just tasted. Getting a little green tea here as well. It's kind of an interesting dynamic. The melon was pretty nice, had some good sweetness, along with the raspberry cup. Write that down. And I kind of forget about this one. A little darker. This one's kind of falling apart a little bit. It is becoming a bit basic. It was nice to start. The dev on the sample roast might not be doing this any favors, but I'm enjoying these quite a bit. And over here, I like this one. I think there's a little more complexity to this cup versus this, which is a very nice cup. But I'm going to throw an X on here. I'm going to throw an X on here for some stuff I don't like. Okay, now let's check these other basic cups. There's so much similarity here. Let me try one of these. Okay. This has woken up a bit. It's definitely bright. This one is just flat and dull. Not enjoying it. Especially triangulating off of some of these other cups against this one, it really, really just shows a lot of flatness. We'll give this another try. Just not good. Okay, so further narrowing down. Some brightness to it, but otherwise not very interesting. A lot of these cups are showing some green tea-like attributes to them. They're slightly astringent. They're a little bit drying on the finish. Let's throw another on here. We know we like this one, so we're gonna throw another on here. We have our three, and this very interesting cup. So the number of dots sort of equals the where I'm sort of leaning towards the most enjoyment on each cup. The notes are there to just sort of give me an idea of what I'm tasting and what I'm enjoying, but I do go off the little markers on top, mostly when trying to make decisions. The melon coffee is falling off for me. This is continues to be really nice, floral, clean, complex. It's got a little heavier, perfumey, rose-like quality out of it. Let's do real quick. Some tartness coming out. I'm going to give this another mark. I'm going to give this another mark. This melon coffee has fallen off. I'm enjoying these last two on the end. And so at this point, I have a pretty good idea of what I like, what I don't like, what I'm being drawn towards. It's certainly this coffee right here with the floral notes, and this coffee on the end just being superbly interesting. It's a dynamic, interesting cup. It's different from everything else on the table for sure. There's a lot of similarities here. I know there's a lot of geisha in here. We have a lot of different processes, but a lot of geisha varieties overall, which I think are giving me a lot of the same sort of impressions. Not a ton of overt floral character coming out. That may be a part of the darker sample profile at play there, but the tea-like attributes certainly coming through. So I have four that I really like. These two here, the two on the end. Let's keep exploring. Yeah. Wonderful. Coffee. That is a fun coffee. Okay, correct decision. I want to make sure these coffees I've sort of written off here are indeed coffees that I do want to pass on. Yeah, I like that just a tiny bit more. but I don't know that I like it more than the other 4 coffees. Okay. So now I'm going to rank 1, 2 easily, and these other 2 3 and 4. This one's starting to lag as we're cooling down. I'm looking for coffees that are maintaining their structure, that the notes that I had towards the beginning are still playing around in the cup, that the cup's not breaking down and turning astringent. That's kind of what happened with some of these others. They just kind of fell apart. They became a tea-like and astringent into the finish, a little bit of mouth drying. This one is starting to fall apart on me, but these 1, 2, 3 are really standing out, maintaining their structure. Well, yeah, I like the darker fruits of this coffee, but it's not quite as clean. It's a little muddier overall. This cup is maintaining some nice cleanness, tartness, sharpness to it. There's good sweetness to it, but 3 and 4 here in my ranks are, I would say, a good full step behind my number 1 and number 2 here. These are certainly really nice coffees, and I would absolutely consider purchasing both of these. 3 and 4 are maybes, kind of depends on what they are. Since we are talking about Hachi here, I have an idea that everything on this table is expensive, and this is kind of where cost comes into play with coffees like my number 3 and 4 here. If they were appropriately priced, then they'd be something I might consider. But like I said, these are Hachis, and I expect these are all very expensive. Number 1 and number 2 would be worth it for me in this case. Number 2 being almost my favorite cup. It's just so interesting, so dynamic. It is different, and I like different when I'm exploring coffees like this, coffees with different processes involved, coffees that I know are going to be very expensive. So if I can find a very unique flavor on the table, that's something that I give a lot of weight to. And this coffee is super unique. It's so much fun. And floral's coming out as well, I gotta say. And I might swap 1 and 2 here. The acidity, the florality coming out of that with the creme fraiche, buttery thickness to it is definitely sort of standing out against my number 1 here. Number 3 and 4 are there. They're nice. Yeah, okay. And now that we've cooled down a lot more, I'm gonna check these other cups again. This melon coffee, I'm just gonna go ahead and rank it just in case. Yeah, I think my favorite is actually number 2 over here, just because it's held up so well. And it's just giving me something that makes me smile. Number 1's fallen apart a little bit, but it's maintaining a pretty good structure. Okay, I'm happy with this. Let's reveal, see what we got here. So first up on the left is number 132. That happens to be a geisha washed in Z-flow process. This is called Bara. Okay, cup number 2, 168. And that is Kabuki number 2. This is a Katura symbiotic process. So, okay, interesting coffee. It's a Katura. I was hoping that the non-geisha varieties with these unique, interesting processes were going to give me something fun to taste. But this does sort of show itself to be a Katura amongst like a table that's mostly geishas. So, okay. So one of the coffees I really enjoyed here, 151. Gurito. This is Panama symbiotic, so that's fun. It could be something interesting to think about if we ended up wanting to buy 4 lots from Hachi. I don't know that we're going to be able to do that. My number 1, but kind of number 2 in my heart, is 148. And this is the straight geisha washed Aka number 2. Not a surprise. I kind of had a feeling this was the straight wash coffee, or at least it was one of the straight washed. I don't know if I have any others in here, but it definitely showed itself here. Just a straight wash coffee, a geisha, lots of florality, very clean. Makes total sense that that's what that coffee was. 178 is my failure on the table. Chico Gallo, a variety I've never heard of, and a natural process, which is very weird. So natural process coffee should have taken the sample roast profile quite well and actually been quite dark. We have this measuring at an 11% moisture, so nothing out of the ordinary there. I don't have a weight loss calculation here, but that looks about normal. Probably in the 12% range on weight loss. So I did not catch density. I didn't measure density on these samples, so maybe there's something about the density of this coffee that is different. But hard to say. Bean size, or the kind of little boaty guys. I don't know what could have happened here in terms of it turning out so light and so peanutty. This is something I might want to go brew with the Gabby Standard. That might reveal something else of its nature. Something to think about, and I have no idea what this variety is. I've never heard of it before. Okay, moving on. 134 is Sutera number 2, geisha sous vide process. I have some explainers on the processes of these coffees, but I don't remember them. I don't have them on hand, so I can't really dive into what in-Z-flow means, what symbiotic means, what sous vide means. Sous vide might be slightly self-explanatory as to what's going on there, but fine. It's a fine coffee, but it did not blow me away. Moving on, 131. Another coffee that just did not impress me much. Shiro, geisha washed in Z-flow. Yeah, in terms of having all these geishas on the table, I want more stuff like this popping out at me. And I'm not getting that from these cups, so well, I don't know. Moving on, a coffee I did enjoy, 184, is a geisha inverted process. So that's the first inverted process on the table. Interesting coffee. I liked the melon attributes to it. Being a geisha, if I could pair some nice melon with some florals, that could be a winner. That might be a coffee I want to further explore. And then again with some favorites here. Number 159, that is another geisha inverted. Okay, so that might be telling us something. And finally, my favorite in my heart, number 136, that is Subterra, a geisha sous vide process. So a sous vide process here, geisha, that I did not enjoy all that much. But this sous vide geisha on the end, really kind of blowing my mind. A really, really nice coffee. Very dynamic, very unique. I'm really loving that. What's our other sous vide? This one. Yeah, kind of sharp. Citrus, basic, not a lot there. Our straight wash geisha, quite good. And what else do we want to look at? These inverteds were interesting. So there's something to think about with these processes. This melon kind of showing up a little bit more here now that we're very cool. I don't know what to throw down here. I'm going to put a question mark on there. Put a question mark on 3. Okay, interesting. I hope this video is interesting. We'll see how well it reads on screen and everything. Looks like we've been going for 30 minutes. I don't know if I'm going to chop it up. I don't know what I'm going to do here. But I'll say one thing. This coffee right here, Subterra number 4, this is a coffee I am going to try to buy, I think. This was really interesting. Very different from everything else on the table. Very unique. Something that will have very fun notes on it. Something that is from Hachi, which is a really pushing the envelope in terms of processing. These are all Panamas, so there are some out there who demand the purity of Panama processing, and Hachi's sort of throwing it in their faces by doing all of these interesting processes. Having said that, however, while I loved this sous vide geisha down here on the end for its uniqueness, the overall, if I were actually scoring these cups, coffee, probably the washed geisha, the straight wash geisha, is going to be the one that might take the top spot in terms of scoring. So food for thought there, I guess. This might also be something that I look at too, just so I can get a nice clean wash geisha on the menu. Okay, that's it for now. If you enjoy this, please do let me know, because I want to start making more videos, some different types of content, and getting my very first impressions on coffees like this is very fun for me to do, so I hope that it can be fun for you all as well. We have some Immaculata samples that we also need to go through, so yeah, that might be coming up next. All right then, until next time, happy slurping. I gotta try this one again. Oh, you know what? What we like to do at the end of this session, grab our favorite bowl, and we just drink straight from it. Yeah. Oh, that's fun. Fun coffee.